This happened June 11th, 2001. And how it started. It started with, a wonderful day. I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and some girlfriends and I were on a tubing trip down the Guadalupe, which I'm sure you're familiar with, being
Yes.
in San Antonio. And we had a great day. It was for a birthday, like I said. And what happened was, after the trip, we all climbed onto the shuttle bus, which they were using, a little school bus that held, I think it was 13 max or something like that. And the shuttle bus was pulling a trailer that had our ice chests and our inner tubes and all that in it. And so we got on the bus, and I was the first one of our group to get on the bus to take us back at the end of the day, back to our cars. And it was full. As soon as I got on, I saw the bus was full. So something told me to turn around and get off. So I started to, but they're in the back of the bus. They're like, come on, you can stand. So I went to, my friends and I piled on. We were the last group to get on. There was 6 of us. And so my back was up against the back door. And I was trying not to lean up against it, but as he was driving, and we take off, and as he's driving, he's shifting through gears. It's a manual bus, or an old bus. And as he's driving down the road, the back door pops open, and I fall out of the bus. And I remember everything at that point, and I end up bouncing off the trailer hitch, and I bounce under the trailer, and the trailer, it was going in slow motion. I remember it was kind of slow motion. I remember thinking, and because I knew I was going to get run over, and the trailer ends up running over my head. And that's when I popped out of my body. And I remember screaming in my head, "Stop! You're going to kill me."
Wow.
No, what I said was in my head, "You're killing me. You're killing me." And as soon as the trailer ran over my head, I popped out of my body. And I remember the feeling of my head being kind of, felt like it crushed my head, and pain. And then all of a sudden, I'm peaceful. I'm out of my body. I'm like, oh, okay. And it felt like, okay, well, here I am again. And I remember seeing a bus coming toward my body, and I didn't see, he hadn't stopped yet. And I remember thinking, I hope that bus stops. And I'm looking down. I hope that bus stops before it runs over my body. But I didn't really feel a connection to the body. I just knew that it was my body. And the other thought that came to my mind was, oh man, we had a really awesome day, and here I go and die on my friends. And this is really going to ruin their day. I remember thinking, this is really going to ruin their day. But I was like, okay, this is what we do. This is natural, like, another one down the drain kind of thing, And so at that point, I got kind of bored with the scene. By then, there's no time. I just remembered everything that was happening. The bus stopped, and I see my friends get off, and they're running around, and at that point, I was just watching the scene, and I remember turning around because I didn't want to watch it anymore. It just looked kind of boring to me. You know what I mean? And so I turned around and took my attention off the scene. And when I tell the story, I get emotional. But and I remember seeing my stepdad, because I had lost my stepdad 3 years earlier. 3 years, yeah, he died in 98. And I was really happy to see him. And he telepathically, and he's standing a ways from me, telepathically told me that it wasn't my time. And I remember thinking, but can I stay with you, kind of thing. It was telepathic. And he turned around, and to kind of point or just take me in the direction in the distance. And so much happens all at once. It's hard to put it in, linear, in our linear time frame. And then that's when I saw what we call the tunnel or the portal kind of thing. And what I recall was there were people down the portal or the tunnel that I recognized from this life, and also that I recognized were people that I knew or relatives that I knew from that I didn't know in this life, if that makes any sense. I just knew them. And I just remember seeing them, and they had a smile on their face, but there was really no communication. And I'm not moving really fast. I'm just kind of floating in that direction. And then I see this really bright light like a sun, and off in the distance, and it's super, super bright, but it doesn't hurt my eyes. It's just super bright, and it's just like the sun. It has that golden and that white and that color. And then and I'm gazing at it, and I don't remember having any thought at that point. And then a figure walks out of that light. And I recognize, and it's a light being. He's still with light, and I actually recognized him at that point. I recognized him. I was I call him Yeshua or Jesus. I call him the Hebrew name Yeshua, and I recognize him as Jesus. I was raised Catholic, and I wasn't I will say I wasn't a good Catholic, but my family, we didn't really follow the Catholic religion or anything like that. I went to Catholic school for I think 5 years, something like that, around there. And my parents got divorced, so they were kind of excommunicated way back when. And my grandmother was a strict Catholic, but she was just really, talking about everything was a sin almost. So as kids, we didn't like going to church, or we just didn't agree with it. Or we were kids. We didn't want to do it. We wanted to be out playing. So anyway, so my point is that it wasn't something that I, had a relationship with him at that time. Okay. And I always knew that felt that there was a higher power, that there was a God, but I just didn't resonate with the teachings that we were being taught in Bible school and stuff like that. So anyway, but I recognized him as this being that I knew was just pure love. And I flew to him, and he embraced me, which is something that it's hard to describe, being in that merging with that pure love and that pure light. It's tangible. I heard one thing I remember very distinctly is his laughter. Because we were communicating and saying I didn't want to go back, and he's saying but it's not your time. This is important. It's important that you go back. And so he took me on a trip. Okay. And he took me through the cosmos. What you have behind you looks very familiar. And he took me through, he took my hand, and he said, let's take a trip. Would you like to take a trip with me, or take a journey? And so I did. He took my hand, and we through the cosmos. And I do remember seeing the stars and everything like that. And, whatever that was all about, I just know that I was with him, and that's all I cared about. And he took me to a water planet, and what he communicated to me was, this is a planet that that I resonate with the most, and it's like a home planet kind of for me. And then I have a family there. I mean, I've learned that we're multidimensional, and we coexist in all types of realities. And so what he said was, when I finish my mission here on Earth, this will be where I will be my awareness rather than the earth awareness, my main awareness, if that makes any sense. Like I could go there and experience that for as long as I want. It's kind of like my reward, I guess. I don't know, but I chose to be here, and we chose to be here, and then I remember, people say they remember the light, and you can't describe the light and everything like that. There was a lot of communication there, and a lot of the information that I got from him and the conversations we had came in bits and pieces afterwards, because it was so much. It was such a huge download. It wasn't anything that I could hold on to at that, right away in real time. So to me, that was what that experience was all about, is for me to, I call it my awakening, for me to wake up to what, I guess my role here, my purpose on the planet. Because I was, I had a job as a bookkeeper for an oil company, and so I wasn't spiritually aware or anything like that. I was just kind of a party girl and didn't really, just kind of figured, there's somebody big looking out after me, because I probably should have died a bunch of times. So I knew that. But there was so much information that came through after in bits and pieces that did, it would take a whole book, which I want to work on. Yeah. So that was the second near-death experience. And then when I remembered that near-death experience, I remembered the one I had when I was 9. And that one, came clearer when I was with this near-death experience. I do remember some things from being a child, but not my childhood is very. I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood. Okay, this one I remembered, or this experience I remembered in this near-death experience very clearly at that point where I was being abused by a family member, and he was trying to kill me, and so he did at this point. And I remember the pain where he hit me in the ribs, and I just remember that sharp pain. And then I popped out of my body the first time. And what happened was I was met by the same being, by Jesus, Yeshua. And he took my hand and he said, "You don't have to go back. You've suffered enough." He called me my child. "You've suffered enough." And this one was kind of short. The one in 2001 was, I don't know, in terms of our time, maybe a couple minutes, if that. If people have had near-death experiences, I understand that they can be gone for years, centuries on the other side, when it's just a few seconds here, that kind of thing. So that's probably, I understand that's what happened to me, of course, but I don't know how long in time that happened here. So, because I don't have anything to gauge it with, my heart stopped or monitors in a hospital or anything like that. I don't have anything to gauge it on how long that time was here. I just know my experience. And so when he told me I didn't have to go back, and I didn't have to go back, and I told him that I wanted to go back because I hadn't finished what I was supposed to do, and that I didn't want to have to start over. And so after a little bit of coaxing, he let me come back, and or just agreed. Yeah, I don't think there's a we have free will to some extent, but in 2001, I was in my 40s, and they're like, "You don't have time to come back again and start over." So it was a wake-up call for me. After that, in 2001, when they took me to the hospital, the only thing I had, there was definitely an angel, definitely, they healed my body, a lot going on where I wasn't hurt as bad as I should have been. I probably should have either died. Well, I did die, but I should have been paralyzed or something like that with the accident that happened. But I just had muscle and tendon damage. I had road rash, on my legs. and I do have a scar on my head. They joked with me at the hospital that I had tire tracks across my head, and so my hair was falling out too. But yeah, I was very blessed that I wasn't hurt a lot worse than I was. I still have to maintain the pain in my back, but it's pretty incredible.